about the story, researching. I was inspired with a short story a long time ago, and it took me a while to find the ways to make it possible to bring it to the screen. And as soon as I understood that if it would be happening in the mining town, and in Georgia we have this small mining town called Jayapura, where all citizens are involved in the process of mining, and they spend half of their days under the ground, and mines operate day and night, and it's very difficult to astonish these people. And so then I rewrote the script, and then I understood that yes, I can make it to be possible to be viewed on the screen. Yeah, and it took me several years to go to that place, and then I added some characters. Yeah, and we worked in these operating mines where explosions were going on one tunnel, and we were shooting in another tunnel. It was very tough, and if not, this very dedicated crew and cast, because not everyone can handle. We all overcome all our phobias, claustrophobias, or any kind of. Because we had to walk in the mud half kilometer to reach
several kilometers.
yeah, several to reach the place, and it was only us. Lasha is a producer and my husband, so he had to be part of this, and we spent most of the time there, organizing everything ahead, and yeah.
How long did it take you?
Shooting itself, as it was very risky to work in the tunnels, because imagine that these trains are operating, and on top of our head it's wires of electricity. If you touch them, you are dead. So we had to really prepare every single step, and it took and we only had 16 days of shooting.
Wow.
And yeah, we shot in 3 different towns. Georgians can recognize Rustavi. It's another metallurgical giant of Soviet Union, still remaining. We shot several days in that Rustavi town, 1 week in the mines in Jatura, and we built the museum out of scratch. It was just ruins, and my production designer, with whom we worked for maybe 3 years on every single mise-en-scène, and he himself painted these murals.
What more about the murals?
Yeah. So, so this Jatura, which is mining town, and it's settled on the high cliffs, inhabited. They had cable cars. These cable cars are there since Stalin's time, and was renovated by that period. And I love that cable car, but just before starting of the shooting, they stopped this. And they start renovation and putting the modern cables there, which will not fit in my film. So when we started painting the murals, you see these cable cars there. So some traces are remaining in the film. Even the Berto's heart or cabin is the cable car cabin standing stop there. And as I wanted to underline that Saint knows what will happen with him, I put this last scene on the murals. Yeah. And all during the film, we don't
don't expect something unexpected. It's in front of us all the time. And of course, citizen knows what will be his fate in spite of his kindness to people or whatever he could do good for them.
Did you paint, I didn't understand, were the murals always there? Was it Soviet art or you painted them?
No.
We
For the
painted.
movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even
Yeah,
the
they're beautiful.
yeah, some faces are of our exes there.
Yeah, you didn't mention, you didn't mention that we were shooting during the COVID lockdown, and that was one of the main things why we were so fast, and it was so much complicated because it was international crew. So we have people coming from France and from Bulgaria. It's international co-production, and especially it was so restricted at that time that we had like certain time we had to be at home. So we don't have any right of movement after 9 p.m. This was like very bad situation at that period. And even sometimes we end up staying on the field somewhere nowhere because we cannot get back to the hotel from the shooting set because time was over. So it was quite complicated, but we stay all together as a group, and I had very strong restriction to not communicate anyone outside of the group because we have all the testings before the shooting, and we remained like that, and we became one big family. So, and especially we started pre-production, then was a lockdown, we canceled the shooting, then started again, then cancelled again, and we started and not stopped on the third one. And every mise en scene, everything was so much prepared that we were very fast of shooting. We exactly knew what we are going to do, when and how.
Wow, that's really cool. Yes,
Oh,
go
some
ahead.
questions. Okay, so first of all, was it a Georgian short story? What was it called?
Yeah, it's a Georgian short story by a woman writer Marina Ovakidze, and it's named by AWFF.
So, first of all, a comment. The mise en scène was so spectacular. The use of light, the use of the headlights to create these almost religious paintings, if you can call them that, kind of echoing that. And I had a couple questions about the dialogue. So I love how much it was about, let's say, the dealing, the bribery, the psychological deals that are made in the name of religion, or this, and how all of the people, like the kids didn't even look, it was so ritualized going up to get blessed. Nobody really paid any attention to the saint when they did it, which is why it wouldn't matter about the dialogue of the mafia or whatever they were was so brilliant, brilliantly written, and also the idea of people so scared that he would know the truth. But I wanted to ask you, because all through the movie I was wondering what was the first, Bogdan's first, I forget his name, the very first exposition where he described how he was tortured, and can you tell me again, because I was haunted and wanted to hear what that dialogue was as the movie went on. So that first speech where he describes how the saint got there, can you just tell us again what that speech was?
You mean the guide explaining?
I
to
guess in
kids?
the very beginning, one of the very first speeches in the film.
Yeah.
I think she talks about when the teacher talks with the kids.
No,
about-
before the
It was
teacher.
the
Yeah, it
guy,
was teacher.
like cleaning him, right?
Yes,
When
talking,
he
the
was-
very first
the very first
speech.
He's talking about some guy who passed away recently.
Oh, but wasn't there a speech, and this is why I was so taken by I wanted to know, well, didn't he say something about how someone said he was tortured and he was petrified?
Yeah, it's a teacher.
Oh, that's later, the teacher.
Who was
Okay.
explaining to the kids legend.
Oh, yeah.
That there was the first miner who came to this place, and he teach others how to mine, and then others followed, but they didn't believe that it was the way of getting profit or whatever, and they tortured him, and then he turned into the stone.
Yeah.
And that's why when they crucify him, they don't think that they are doing something bad. They think that they bring him back to his place and wait that when he will be stone, become a stone again, then he will have more power.
And
Well,
then-
regarding the lights, I also want to mention that
as I said that in the tunnel, it's very difficult to bring the big lighting equipment and even the camera, especially the tripods and everything. With production designer and the great DP is Bulgarian Krum Rodriguez. He recently got the Asian Oscar for his work in this film. We decided that every source light and even actors were trained how to use to help.
Where to look?
Yes, of course.
So all the props were our source of light.
Practical, real.
So
Yes.
it was very creative solutions to lighting in such a small spaces and dangerous to use like usual equipment, which is much easier and you can work with it.
Yeah, on the main square we had this special source light. So production designer had a big team, his assistants, who we built out of scratch the main square, and they are performing in the difficult mise-en-scenes like taking off the cross or a crucifixion, and even in tunnels, because they knew exactly where I needed the lights, directions. So they are also part of the cast, not only the crew.
Last question, I'm sorry. And the train, that's Stalin era train, that train that takes them down into the mine?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the normal train where the miners every day go inside the tunnels.
Brilliant.
That's amazing the dangers of went into the tunnel. I mean, you portrayed that to the viewer about the risk. What was the metaphor of Dano's wheelchair?
Yeah, so as Berdo mentions, there are collapse happening in the mines. And Vano was also the one who collapsed together with Berdo and Berdo's son. Berdo's son died, Vano stayed in wheelchair, and Berdo survived. That's what he can't forgive to himself. And Vano is the one who wants to find why he was chosen to be tortured. And when he meets the saint, he's the one who doesn't believe in him, and he's the one who questions him.
And then he's healed.
And that's why I wanted to underline that even if you are not to follow him, that God will not let you, yeah.
The last scene of the film where the saint disappears from the crucifixion and the cross, I'm trying to interpret that different ways, and the only way I'm interpreting is that he's forsaking the town at this point. Am I being correct with that, or am I being too hopeless?
I wanted to, he's always with us. He can't disappear from us, but we don't see him. So that's the only thing with that.
But that manifestation itself is God. It's like,
But again, if I could add on that, it's kind of Jesus after 3 days he disappeared from the tomb. So that's my way of looking at it. It's kind of
And I wanted to have this circle, that even if Jesus will come back now, we will do the same with him, and then we will repent and then we will torture ourselves for another centuries than what we did. And so it's kind of a endless circle.
Including the last shot with the first guy in the movie, then is the guy who becomes the new saint, and his wife is there with who's married.
there was an irony of that.
I want to see all your films. I want to know, what are you doing? This was spectacular.
It's the third film of Tina. First two films, Brides and Horizon, they had a world premiere Berlinale. So we are Brides. Brides.
It was a Tribeca US premiere.
2014 Brides and 2018 Horizon. So both had world premieres in Berlinale. She's quite known in Europe. I think that it's not the same for United States, but her films quite travel a lot internationally, and yeah, it's third film from
And I
Tina.
torture him a lot. The brides were shot in prison. Horizon was shot on the island in a swamp. And now it was tunnel.
It's a funny thing to be. Let me just make it a bit fun here. The funny thing is being a husband and producer of the director, that for the birthdays or for some kind of like celebration gifts, usually women ask for something like, I don't know, like bag or some clothes. She asks me like, can I have a train for this film? Can I have a sheep or this kind of stuff. So, and she never make it simple. Always very complicated sense.
The sheep scene was brilliant, and the idea that this was somebody and so this was an offering, because there's so many we give them.
Thank you.
Oh, back there.
Thank you so much for sharing your I'm sorry, my English is not enough to explain how I'm studying now. But can I ask a question about music?
Yes.
Yeah, the music is super simple but beautifully suits with the scene, and also the emotion of the people. So could you let us know about any story about
Yeah, it was quite work.
Yes.
For 1 year, I was trying with the composer to find this simple, not even a melody, but something where I don't want it to use the ordinary instruments. And I was explaining that I need the sheep horn from the far, alarm, something disturbing, and it should be a bit of like music. So we tried different things and we couldn't find and finally LASHA was the one who made this simple theme, and with the composer we somehow polished it. And also I recorded Georgian folk instruments, which reminds of flutes. I wanted this sound of the soul, in a way, which we hear here and there, and in the end we hear this with like the music. So I wanted to have a combination of this disturbing factory or alarm kind of, and this one note of this exhale. Let's say this one.
Beautiful. Let me hold down to see if there's anybody else in the back that has a question.
She has a question.
Oh, it's it's a question more for Lasha. It's a very producer question. But how did you guys deal with the insurance?
Yeah, I'll
I guess on all your films.
yeah, exactly.
It's all on his risk.
Yeah.
That's an only answer. And unfortunately, we don't have a film insurance in Georgia.
Yeah.
But I always keep as much as possible risks to be insured, different ways.
Several scenes we didn't shot because it was so risky that you can't risk with people.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3 scenes which were happening in tunnel, I just didn't shot because it was.
Yeah, and you have to work 25-hour days that control everything, that every single person doing their job properly. It is quite complicated, but on the other hand, very enjoyable because we really love this seeing what we do.
Yeah.
And it's a bit crazy. It
The
sounds
bigger the
crazy.
risk, the better the reward. Yeah.
Good luck with Oscar.
Thank you.
What's the next film?
Oh, there are several projects. Hopefully I can go into the review.
Black and white also?
I'm not sure because all my life I wanted, because I love black and white, and I thought that art house films are not for everyone. We all understand this, and it's for cinephiles, and we all cinephiles love this black and white. So I wanted to allow myself to make the image what I wanted always, and of course it would serve to underline this story which is timeless,
And with this mise-en-scène, if it would be with color, I was losing a lot. So I said, okay, we lose the audience, but let's do the way.
What did you shoot it on?
It's Alexa, it's DG, so it's great work
Digital
of
camera.